And hey, happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to Draglist Live, where we bench race with the world's top drag racers. My name is Bill Pratt. It's awesome to be with you tonight. And tonight we feature Chris King, first responder and funny car racer. Can't wait to talk to Chris tonight. Before we bring him in, let's go to John. John, how are you doing tonight?
They're doing great here, Bill. And howdy from Houston, everybody. Please join us on the live chat. I'll take notes and I'll pass your questions and comments along to Bill and Chris.
Thank you, John. And folks, click the little like, the thumbs up down there, click the share button, let your friends know we have Chris King here live. And to prove it, let's bring him in. Chris King, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing, Bill? John, nice to see you guys. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh man, thanks so much. It's great to have you with us. I really
John, folks,
appreciate you
click the little like.
promoing on Twitter and stuff. Very cool. And
Yeah, absolutely.
so an exciting life. First responder, protecting your fellow citizens. Thanks very much. I'm an old Homeland Security guy myself, just retired, and an NHRA Funny Car driver. So we're gonna kind of see what makes you tick. So kind of tell us, let's start with the day job. Tell us about your job as a first responder. What exactly do you do?
So currently, I'm a lieutenant with the Chicago Fire Department.
Awesome.
Currently assigned as a relief lieutenant, which means I bounce around from firehouse to firehouse. So I have a different crew every day.
Okay.
It's really cool. I worked yesterday. We had a good fire. I had some really cool pictures on the internet. Maybe you can grab them off of Facebook. But
Wow.
yeah, I'm in charge of a fire company. So we first respond and do anything from medical calls, fires, people trapped, people drowning. We're scuba divers, any specialty rescue type of stuff. So it's a little exciting. Every day is different. That's what I like about it. It's not your average Monday through Friday office or factory job. So adrenaline rush, as you can tell, I'm a adrenaline junkie, obviously. Like
Yeah,
fires, like nitro cars, like being excited. So yeah,
that's
the day
awesome.
job's cool. I've been doing it 29 years, second generation. My dad was a fireman, and that kind of planted the seed in me when I was a kid. Growing up in the firehouse and watching him do what he did, it just really sparked my interest in it, and that's the path I chose.
That's awesome. I hated to kind of chuckle when you talked about all those things you took care of, but I was thinking Chicago, you got everything. You got Lake Michigan, you got tall towers, and there's just so many opportunities to for folks to get in a little bit of trouble that you have to go there and help them out.
Well, like I always tell everybody, if you can imagine it, we've seen it or done it. And people always ask me like, what's the grossest thing or what's the worst thing you ever see? And it's hard to answer because like to me, I'm so I'm not say neutral to it, but I've
Right,
been around it for so long. What I think is bad, I probably can't talk about. Where
right,
other
sure,
people, would lose their minds and freak out about it. But we,
right.
like I said, if you can imagine it, we've seen it or dealt with it.
Wow, you can do have to kind of compartmentalize it, right? You have to get the job done and put the emotions aside while the I guess do you get an adrenaline rush as you're doing it, or have you been able to sort of calm yourself to be in the moment? What does it take to get that job done?
So, like I said, you never know what you're getting yourself into, and every fire and every call is different. So there is that excitement and that adrenaline rush, especially when you're driving down the street and you see a huge column of smoke. You're like, "Holy cow, we got a good fire!" And
Right.
there's a lot of unknowns, but that's where our training and our experience come in to know how to deal with that situation. But there are things that are out of our control, like when roofs start collapsing or buildings don't behave the way we want them to, and you find yourself in a precarious situation. And I know my wife's listening in the background, and I don't tell her absolutely everything that happens, but there are close calls, and there's been some times where things have happened, and uh, I'm lucky that I made it home. I
Yeah,
tell her about it, but not into great detail. And there's
sure.
been times where I've been sent to the hospital, and she gets a phone call from the preacher, and that's the worst feeling a spouse of a firefighter or a first responder can get because right away their heart races to the worst scenario, but
Right.
they're just calling, to let you know that, hey, he's okay, he's in the hospital, he'll be fine. We'll come get you if you need. But it's a big family, and that's about taking care of people and taking care of your own, which is a lot like drag racing, a big
Yeah,
family.
yeah, absolutely. Well, I went through firefighting school in the Navy, so I had 1/10 of what you've done, right? But so I've took the full inhales of the smoke, and people just don't realize, right, until you're really doing it, what you guys put yourselves through every day. That's amazing.
People don't realize the physical strain that it's under. Well, first of all, you're going from a relaxed state to your heart rate racing
Right,
in seconds, so instantaneously adrenaline rush. And then you're operating in very, very warm conditions. So your core temperature is going up. You're under a lot of physical stress. So
right,
muscular, cardiovascular, you're drained within
right,
minutes, but your body has to be able to deal with that. So I mean, you see a lot of injuries with firefighters, dehydration, heat injuries, cardiac issues, but
right,
you try to do the best you can and not be one of those statistics, but unfortunately things happen and it's inevitable.
right. How much does the gear that you typically wear into a fire weigh? Because that's got to be a lot.
Yeah, the basic firefighter turnout gear, we call it, with an SCBA air pack, is about 100 to 125 pounds of extra gear. And now you start talking about adding hose packs or tools that we're carrying. You can put anywhere up to 150 to 200 pounds of extra weight on you. And
Right,
now, if the elevators are out, you're climbing 15, 20 stories to go up and fight a fire in a high rise, or you're working in 90 to 100-degree heat with high humidity in the middle of the summer. It just
right,
wipes you out.
right. Yeah, you have to go nitro funny car racing just to relax, man.
Yeah.
That's something. I've had the high pressure hoses played, but the people don't realize how much strength it takes to keep those dudes under control as well. It's
Yeah,
just
water is powerful for sure.
yeah.
A lot of technique.
What
I'm
you
not the biggest guy in the world, but a lot of it's technique and experience. And I like to pass that on to the newer guys, especially now being a lieutenant.
right.
So I get to give back, teach, and hone their skills and watch the next generation come up. It's kind of cool.
That's fantastic. Well, man, thank you for what you do. You definitely have to have a life of service. You have to be dedicated to service, and it's because it's unforgiving and hard, and you gotta love it. And you do
It's
have a
the
great
best job
family
in the
with it.
world for sure. Absolutely. The schedule is great. The days off are great. We make okay money. We're not rich by any means, but we make a good living, and it's just satisfying. You know.
Right. Well, a lot of people have a trouble kind of seeing the effect of their efforts on the world. You guys don't have that problem at all, do you? You can see
Well,
it.
most of us are pretty humble. You know, people say, "Oh, you guys are heroes." Like, well, we're just doing our jobs. That's what we're trained to do. That's what we do. You call, we respond, and we handle whatever you throw at us.
Right.
Um, a lot of guys are humble, but every once in a while, it's nice to get a pat on the back and a
Yeah.
job well done or recognition when you make a save or do something that made a difference in someone's
Yeah.
life. Like when you save someone's life and they come back to the firehouse a couple weeks or a couple months later after they're rehabbed, and they thank you and you get to see their family and just know that you made a difference in a family's life. So
Right.
it's cool.
Yeah, that's huge, right? I don't like. I mean, I did a lot of time in the military, and and so, I think they almost like they toss that out these days. Thank you for your service. Like it's just a kind of thing you say. I mean, I appreciate it certainly, and but I mean, really, I'm like, yeah, it's kind of our job, which a microcosm of society that's doing that job. But when it's on occasion, there's a really heartfelt appreciation, which is always nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Well,
nice.
so cool.
People love appreciation,
Yeah,
attaboys and good jobs. It goes a long way.
absolutely. Yeah, we work super hard for that. That's not the only reason, but it's always nice. Well, tell us, let's go into the NHRA drag racing. Holy cow, what and I didn't really realize that you'd actually gone into the race team owner position, which is quite amazing. Tell
Yeah.
us what the year's looking like, because we got a couple races about to come up, right?
Yeah, we're actually preparing for Norwalk right now. Bob Peck and the boys down in Brownsburg, Indiana, are getting the car prepped. We're pretty much ready to load up and get on the road for Brownsburg real soon, or for Norwalk real soon. So our year, we're a part-time team. We try to hit 4 or 5, maybe 6 races, depending on schedules. But every one of my crew guys has a real Monday through Friday job. So we have to work around schedules and life, families, and things like that. So we do what we can, but we're out there representing as hard as we can to look good and fit the part and let people know that we belong in those pro pits right next to the
Right.
big dogs.
No, it's amazing, and I've loved funny cars since I was a kid, and that's a long time ago. So
Yeah,
you
funny
guys are
cars are
bringing back
definitely
the
the
old
best.
days, a little.
I'm biased. Anybody asks me, dragster or funny car, that's a no brainer.
Yeah, come on.
Funny
Yeah,
car all
sorry,
day.
it's all me there. So Tell us a little bit about the car. Tell us about the machine and the guys who kind of helped make it happen. You already mentioned Mr. Peck there.
Yeah, so I have probably the most amazing group of guys helping me out, and it's all led by Bob Peck. I can't even imagine what my race program would look like without him right now because he has done so much, put so much energy, so much work into making that car 100% right. And he's
Hmm.
always trying to make it better. And his big thing is my safety. If the car's not right, he lets me know and he will not put me in it and he
Right.
will not let it go down the track. And as a driver and a young guy who's full of, piss and vinegar per se,
Feel better. Yeah, come on.
Bob does a great job reining me in. And, I don't always like it, but I understand it. And he's great at making me realize it's for a reason and it's my safety in the car coming back in one piece. We don't want to wreck it because we don't have the budget. We can't
Right.
get it up. We don't have the budget. And we certainly can't afford to hurt me. So
Right.
if the car comes back, I come back, and that's Bob's main goal.
Hmm.
So our crew, we got guys from all over the country, a couple in the Brownsburg area that work their butts off at the shop during the week and at nights. And then we got guys we fly in for the races that, like I said, they work for peanuts, but their hearts are huge, and they do it because they know it's my dream to succeed in the NHRA.
Hmm.
And it just I'm so appreciative of their hard work, and I wish I could pay them $1 million each because that's what they're
Yeah.
worth. But
Yeah.
someday, but I do what I can to take care of them, and of course we laugh and tease and joke and make fun of each other, but
Right.
that's just our personalities and what we do.
That's part of the fun, man. But they are, those guys, they are a part of a tiny community. I mean, in terms, fuel, both both fuel and dragsters and funny goes, but that's a tiny, tiny community. You're talking about 16, maybe 20 cars in the world in each category, maybe five, six to 10 if you're well budgeted enough for, of course, the DSRs and stuff. Forget about that. There's lots of folks back at the shop, but um, that's all there are in the world. I mean, that's more exclusive than probably basketball players or NFL players.
It is. It's really cool when you think about it that way. And sometimes I have to give myself a reality check because, like you mentioned earlier, I'm the team owner, I'm the driver, the face of the team. I do the budgeting, I pay the bills, I do the logistics, the planning, and and Bob on the other side is the crew chief and runs the crew, the car, the maintenance, the fabrication, and everything on that side. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes. It's very stressful for everybody,
Right.
but um if anybody would have told me that I'd be in this situation, 10 years ago, I'd have laughed at him and said, no way. So
Right.
just to be able to say that I made it, I am the ultimate underdog. I came from nothing. I have no money. And we're doing this on our own and we're making it work. And it's all
Right.
because of good people led by a good guy.
There you go. Hey, funny car firefighters. You go way all the way back to Jim Dunn.
Yeah, I always dreamed of driving for Jim Dunn. I thought it'd be cool to reincarnate the whole
Yeah.
firefighter, fireman's quickie thing. And what's really cool is ever since I've been, a fan around the pits, Jim has always made time to talk to me. And I know John gets pissed off because Jim gets distracted. He starts telling me fire stories.
Yeah, yeah,
And he'll
yeah.
bring out a binder and here, look at these pictures from 1970 when I was working here. And he lights up like a kid at Christmas talking about fire stories. And
Yeah.
his wife, Diane, we give her challenge coins and they collect fire memorabilia. So we're always talking about Jim's career and my career. It's really cool to see the original OG fireman racer and
Yeah.
then me kind of coming up trying to do what he did.
I love it. Well, you want to take a moment or two, see what John and the guys on the chat line have to say?
Sure.
John, what's going on out there, Mr. Bachman?
Well, we're here from coast to coast tonight. And Pete Moriello in Los Angeles says hello from a warm Los Angeles. Randy Johnston says hello from Northern California. Billy Brazelton posted, hello, Chris, your biggest fan here.
So Billy's my bottom end guy, and he's a machine. That guy is so dedicated and so loyal. He's a big burly guy, but he's got a heart of a teddy bear. And he's been with me from the very beginning, and he's great. I don't have to worry about anything that guy does on the car because he's just squared away and he's gonna make it right and keep me safe. So love you, Billy. Thanks for watching.
All right. Hey, Billy.
very valuable asset to your team. That's for sure, man.
They all are for sure.
And Kay Thurkelson is here. She says, "Good evening, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to watch." She's in Salt Lake City, I think.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that's where she is. Rodney Potter is here with us, a former racer of the week. He says, "Hi, everyone." And Rich Panicaro says, "Hey, gang, love the shirt. Your shirt, Chris." He says,
I
"All
just
I
got this
use
in the
is
mail.
NGK plugs."
Yeah, we just got a swag bag from Jackie at NGK with this new style shirt. And my wardrobe consists of Reed Rocker Arms shirts, NGK shirts, Frank Hawley Drag Racing School shirts, and Howard's Cam shirts. I'm always working on something or find myself in the garage or under a car inadvertently. And my wife gets angry because I'm usually in nice shorts or nice pants, and I end up under a car and they get wrecked and she gets mad. So I try to wear darker clothes on purpose.
That's cool, man. I thought the same thing. As soon as you came on the show, I said, "Man, I love that shirt." That is great.
Reach out to NGK and we'll
All right.
see if we can get you some.
And thanks
Great, man.
for stepping up. That it kind of weren't always the big spark plug in motorsports, but they sure have been the last several, maybe a couple decades, right? They've jumped up and did a great
And
job.
let's see, Mark Malinsky and Rich Panicaro are both in New Jersey, and they say good evening to everybody. And Scott Abbott, our racer of the week, is in Maryville, Tennessee, and he says good evening to everybody.
Howdy, Scott.
And we're caught up for the moment.
All right, thanks. We'll get your funny car and or fireman questions ready, everybody, if you want to. We'll check back in with John and the gang. So so as far as I know, I mean, looking at John's awesome poster here, you've obviously run some of the great nostalgia cars over the years. And what kind of walk us through your history? How did you get to this point, on the top of the mountain from where you came from?
So funny story. My dad was a gearhead, unbeknownst to me, because he passed away when I was pretty young. So I didn't really get to know him, but I know he had hot rods and motorcycles, and it sparked my interest in cars at a young age. I was a tinkerer, like working on motors. So when he passed, I got into motorcycles and motocross racing, learned how to work on engines and do things like that. Of course, I broke a lot of bones and got frustrated and decided to go on four wheels because it was a little safer. So,
Right.
when we got our driver's licenses, we lived right by Great Lakes Dragway in Union Grove. I grew up in Racine, Wisconsin, so it was literally 20 minutes from where we lived.
Wow.
So we would take our street cars there and do hot laps, running 14, 15-second passes, thinking we were hot shit as kids.
Right
And
there.
then, of course, cruising down at Lake Michigan with the friends and, you know, street racing. I'm ashamed. We would do dumb things as kids, like kids do, but we just were big gearheads. I had a great shop class in high school. My teacher, Dave Dixon, had a old pro stock car that he ran at Great Lakes, and he let us wrench on it during class and clean it and do things. And it just really sparked my interest and Andy Bull's interest. We were classmates.
Oh,
So
really?
my
How
buddy
about that?
Andy is a division champion, U.S. Nationals champion, and alcohol funny car.
Yeah,
And what really got me into racing was being a crew member for him. So I was doing his clutch and working on his car, doing heads, bottom ends, whatever needed to be done in that car. I learned alcohol funny car racing. And, I was always wanting to drive, but never had the ability, the money, or the resources to make that happen. And then one day I said, the hell with it. You only live once. And I called Frank Hawley and I said, Frank, I've been around these cars. I want to drive your funny car. And he goes, nope. What have you driven? I'm like, well, nothing really. He goes, come on down. I'll put you in my super comp dragster. Let's see how you do.
yeah.
We did that, and everything went well. And Frank talked to me after the class, and he goes, hey, I have no problem putting you in the alcohol funny car. Let's get you set up. So I think
Okay.
it was like not even a month later, I was back down in Gainesville with Frank and Jimmy and Craig, and we ran my licensing passes in the alcohol funny car, and I walked away with my license.
That's
So,
awesome.
then being in the mechanic crew guy, I met a lot of people, made a lot of connections. I'm very social, so I talk to people.
Hmm.
Once I got my license, a couple opportunities to drive an alcohol flopper came up, and the first one I did was John Hart.
Okay.
He had a car sitting, and he let me drive a couple races just to kind of learn and get my feet wet. So John let me drive his Charger, and then Sam helped me out too. And he let me drive his Monte Carlo, and we had that tuned by Steve. I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Boggs?
No, Australian
Oh,
Steve
Steve Harker.
Harker. Yeah,
Yeah.
Steve Harker tuned the car for me, and we had that car going 560s. So
Wow.
that set its hooks in me. I'm like, yeah, this
Yeah.
is awesome. But everybody always had the lure of nitro.
Yeah.
We at national events and you hear them, and everybody's talking about nitro. Nobody's in the stands for alcohol cars, trying to get sponsors for
Which is a
alcohol.
crime, number
Yeah,
one.
it's a shame because it's great racing.
Yeah.
I decided that I wanted to set my sights on nitro, and this is where everybody's like, "You're an idiot. It's not going to happen. Never, never, never. You can't do it. It's impossible." Well, that motivated me. I'm like, you know what? Don't tell me I can't do it because I'll show you and prove you wrong.
Right.
So I started asking around the pro pits. I'm like, hey, I'm looking to see, how do I license for a nitro car? Talked to a few people. They said, beat it. Then I ran into the Richards brothers, Paul and
Yeah.
Dave Richards.
Yeah.
And I talked to them and they said, hey, we can discuss it. And what that meant was they were asking people about me if I could handle the car or if they should let me drive the car. So
Right.
Paul gets back to me and says, you know what? I asked around. People say, you're pretty smart and you're driving pretty well. So let's go ahead and set something up and let you license in our funny car, which
Wow.
was awesome. So the Richards boys helped me get my nitro license, and we did that in Charlotte in 2017.
Okay.
So thanks to Paul and Dave, they ruined my life. They let me run a nitro car.
Yeah.
I've never been the same since. So fast forward a little bit, it's not easy to get a ride in a nitro funny car. You
Sure.
have to have a lot of money or know somebody, and I had neither. So
Right.
it took me a couple of years making connections, networking, trying to get myself out there, searching for sponsors to make this happen. And one day, Chip Lofton, I don't know if you ever heard of him,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
pretty important guy, but Chip and I became good friends. And Chip calls me and says, hey, do you know a guy named Terry Totten? I'm like, I've heard of him. I know he runs cars, but I've never met him. He goes, here's his phone number. Give him a call.
Hmm.
I know what was going on. So Chip had talked to Terry because Terry had a funny car hiding out in his shop. And
Right.
Chip's plan was to put me in that funny car, and he helped finance it and get me fitted in it. We had to raise the cage and change a few things because I'm 6'2". So
Okay.
we changed that car up to fit me in there, and Chip helped me get my debut in Nitro Funny Car, and I'm forever grateful to that man. He's a
Awesome.
great guy. So we ran the Vita C Shot car, which is a Toyota body, and that's the same car that I currently own and drive today, except we have a Dodge Charger body on there now.
Okay.
Um, so that got me started, and we ran a little bit, and it wasn't my car. I wanted to run more, but they couldn't or didn't want to, and it was money, and
Yeah.
things just weren't working. As a guy who rented a funny car, I didn't have much say in it. If they didn't
Right.
want to run a lap, we didn't run, and I just sat there and I couldn't do anything about it.
Right.
So it was hard for me because I want to make every qualifying lap get seat time. Like I said, I'm gun ho and I just want to go race, get in,
Right.
race, 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 run fast. And it doesn't work that way when you don't have the
Yeah.
big budget or the parts and the pieces. So the car got parked for a while, which was a little discouraging. I thought that was the end of my nitro life. And then Terry called one day and said the guy who owns the car, Mark Howard, he's got some health issues, doesn't really know what he wants to do with the car, doesn't really want to run it. Why don't you buy it? I'm like, buy it with what? My charm and good looks? No way. So, we kind of figured out how to make that work. And Terry worked with me and Mark worked with me and a couple other people helped me out. And I was able to acquire the operation. Now, we didn't
Wow.
have great parts or lots of parts. We had a 26-foot tag trailer that was hooked up to my pickup truck, and we were running a nitro operation out of that.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
remember pulling into the races, and the gate guy looks at me and says, "You're in the wrong area. The sportsman guys are down the street out back."
As you're
And I'm like,
bringing a
"No,
double
sir."
V in the.
Yeah, I said, "This is a Nitro Funny Car, sir." And he looked at me like I was full of crap. I'm like, "No, seriously, Chris King, Nitro Funny Car." He goes, "Huh," and he shook his head and pointed me through. So we got by doing what we needed to do, but what that allowed me to do is meet people, get my name out there, and start working on me as the package and
Right.
my program. I got my name out there, met people, was able to make things happen, and we've been slowly and slowly evolving this project.
Right.
So bring in Bob Peck. I'm at DSR. I'm like, Bob, I need to buy some parts because he works at DSR. And we were looking at parts. And he goes, hey, you ever need any help? I'd be willing to help you out. And like right there, it was like the halo and the stars, and you're like, like
Yeah.
what? You're gonna help me? I'm like, please, please, please help me. And the rest is history. Bringing Bob on, and then he took the reins and fixed the car, made it safe, made it competitive. I mean, that car, for what we have, it's fast, and we're gonna ruin somebody's day. And
Right.
we're working hard to get our first round win. A lot of gremlins, a lot of things happen, but we're doing it the right way. And
Right.
now that I'm the team owner, we're making the decisions and buying the parts and pieces, and that's all because of Bob's guidance, Bob's connections, and he knows people and can make things happen. And he's a smart guy, has that car running well. So we have a lot of help, and I have to thank these guys. Alex Conway from TSR, um, with parts, he helps find us parts, and then I really have to thank the entire Napa team and Guido especially
Hmm.
because Guido goes out of his way to help us. Bob worked for Guido in the Napa team and was on a championship car with Beckman, and it's all those guys, and they're phenomenal. And when we get in a pinch, they bail us out. So
That's great.
it's awesome. These guys are great, and like I said, family, brotherhood. They know that we need cars to make the fields and make the show, so they do
Right.
whatever they can behind the scenes to make sure guys like me are able to run for the fans.
That's really great. Well, what a great you've the total package, man. Chris, I do think you're a great product. I mean, that's how they talk in this biz. Obviously, very well spoken, very handsome, and a good guy. The thing is, you're a solid guy. I think when the Richards were calling around, they got the word back. Yeah, this guy's not a flake, and he'll listen, he'll learn, and he's going to do the job. And I think that's reflective. It's great to hear.
Yeah.
How does when you and Bob like set up when you do it attend it, do you try for like a low four just to get a baseline and then start tweaking on it if you get to run again? What's the plan as you attack these races?
So Bob's very methodical about the way he tunes our car. We run it, I don't want to say conservatively, but compared to the other big boys, we are a conservative team.
Right,
Bob runs it just like they do. He's watching the weather, he's watching everything on the computer, and he's making his head gasket calls about an hour, hour and a half before the car runs. So we're doing everything the big boys are doing. Our tune-up is a little softer, but reason being is we're trying to save parts, not annihilate things because we don't have the
right,
budget, but we're also creeping up on performance. So
right,
we have a brand new fuel system to us this year, new lines, and the pump was dynoed. So we're reining it in and making sure we're making the right calls. And we don't want to go out and just annihilate a motor. So
right.
we're doing 300 foot, 600 foot, 800 foot, and then full pulls. And we got a lot of good data in Joliet. So off the trailer, we like to be a 4.0, 410 car
Yeah,
right off the trailer and get our baseline and then tune to the conditions of the track and the weather as the
yeah,
weekend improves. And I have no doubts in my mind that Bob's capable of tuning this car to be very competitive. And
right,
we just got to make sure we do it smart and safe.
right,
We don't oil down, we don't blow up. We've had a couple mishaps, but that was parts failure or driver error.
right.
Um, but we're getting better. I think I'm doing a pretty good job driving. I'm not all over the track. I'm not leaving anybody on the line, staging problems, and we're definitely not oiling down the track. So we're out there doing what we can to fit in and do the pro thing.
Right. Oh, you're doing exactly I think the right way. It sounds so great. Let's check in with John and see if folks on the chat line have any questions or thoughts. John, what's happening, bud?
Yeah, Billy Brazelton said, "Oh, stop it, Chris! You're making me blush." He said, "Thank you," and he posted a smiling face. And I had a question for you, a couple of questions actually. Driving a nitro funny car is probably the most demanding practice there is in motorsports. Do you have any pre-race rituals that you follow every time before you make a run?
So, like you said, it's chaos. It is so explosive and so unpredictable, but it's the biggest adrenaline rush you can imagine. I like to get in the car a couple pair early compared to most of the other drivers. And reason being is it gives my guys time to not be rushed to put me in nice and safe and tight. But then it also gives me a chance to get comfortable and relax because once I'm in the car, the crew's away and they're doing their things and checking things, but people kind of leave me alone in there so I can close my eyes, work on my breathing and focus, go through my head, my staging procedures, and visualize what I'm doing.
Hmm.
So that's kind of my like woosah moment when I'm in the car. And of course, you get some photographers and some fans and people, sticking their thumbs in there and cameras, but it's not a huge distraction. So, getting in the car and just trying to calm down because as an owner driver and bill payer, there's a lot of things going through my mind and a lot of distractions. And Bob does a great job of keeping those distractions away from me for the most part. But I do know some things that go on, but he does what he can to have me not worry about anything when I'm in that car except going down the track safe.
Hmm.
That's
Awesome.
great, man. You mentioned Jim Dunn earlier, I, but it went over my head. I was typing or something. I wasn't paying attention. Are y'all connected to Jim Dunn Racing in any way?
No, we're not connected to anybody like like that, but there's a mutual respect because he's a fellow firefighter. He's the original old school
That's
firefighter
right. Yeah.
racer, and he was doing it, back in the day while working a full-time career with LA County Fire. So we can relate to each other and tell fire stories and talk racing. And
Hmm.
the guy's a legend. I think he's like 92, 93 years old. I'm not sure his exact age,
Yeah.
but he's out there building racks, working on the car. He's on the line every time it goes down the track. And, to survive a career in the fire service and make it into your 90s is something. And that guy, he is something,
Yes, he is. He's a
cool.
legend
Yeah, I
for
mean,
sure.
I wish the stars would aligned, and I could have drove for him. But right now, my good friend Buddy's driving his car, and they're being very successful. So I'm very happy for Buddy to get that ride. But there's a little jealousy. I wish I could get a ride like that. That'd be kind of cool.
Well,
Well,
maybe you can line up against him one of these days. Sorry,
my,
Joe. Go ahead.
my last question is, your helmet is awesome. Where did you get it painted?
So I run Impact safety gear. Impact has been very good to me since I started. And my helmets are all custom painted by a local artist in Racine, Wisconsin from the sign shop named Will Chrisman. And Will and I have been friends probably 15, 20 years. He's done some custom paint work on my boat. He's done stickers for us and all kinds of stuff. So Will's painted a few helmets for me. And this latest rendition, he's got, the firefighter in the back with the 343. He's got my name on there. We have 343, which is indicative of the number of firemen killed on 9/11. That's why I run that number. He's got the Maltese cross on the front and the flames and diamond plate. So he does a lot of cool things, and I give him creative freedom. So he just comes up with these ideas and asks what I think, and just supplies some very, very awesome helmets for me. And he's a talented artist.
Man, he did. It's beautiful. Yeah, I've done a lot of graphics and I've done a lot of helmets, and I saw that one and I said, man, that one is a number one tops.
Yeah, he put a lot of gold leaf in there because firemen love gold leaf and diamond plate. So there's gold leaf and silver leaf and all kinds of stuff. It took him a long time to do. He's meticulous, but yeah, it turned out cool.
It's great. Randy Johnston showed up and he said, y'all have a really great guest.
Thank you. I appreciate it. We try our best.
That's yeah.
And we're caught up for the moment.
Thank you, John. Thank you, guys and gals out there. Appreciate it. Well, let's do talk tell some stories, Chris. Any weird events happen as you roll up and down the nation's highways, or something at the track? Any twists of fate?
Well, every time you're going down the road, things will happen. The biggest thing we worry about is just making sure our equipment gets there safe and in one piece. We get tire blowouts and things like that. But going down the road, it's usually my brother and I. I drive the big truck and trailer, and my brother follows behind in my pickup truck with a support vehicle, which is like a half RV, half like garage that has our golf carts, generators, and toolboxes in it. So my brother's been very helpful getting things, to and from the track because I need an extra driver. Someday I'd like to have somebody help me out with the driving because it literally takes a week of my life away
Yeah,
because I have to leave on like Tuesdays to go down to Indy, load up, get things on the road, Wednesday, get to the track set up. And then by the time I get back home, it's the following Monday or Tuesday. So
right.
it's a lot of stress, a lot of time for me, but it's the way we have to do it to be able to run like this. So I'm willing to sacrifice whatever I have to follow my dream of driving in a nitro class. Someday I'd like to do it full time. We
Yeah.
just got to find the right partners and then we'll take this and hire some guys and it'll make our lives a lot easier.
It sounds great. Keep on rocking. Did you have they found you at the track with the TV cameras? Because this is such a compelling story. I
You
mean,
know,
back in my day, they would have, Steve Evans would have found you and or Brett Kepner would have found you and they would have talked about this. I don't know if that's kind of in the new modern era if they kind of make room for folks like you these days.
they do an okay job. I wish that they kind of capitalize on some of the ideas and programs I like to incorporate for first responders. And they've done a few things, but they don't include me in those, like the challenge coin and the firefighter
Right.
recognition stuff. That those were all my brainchild, and they do them. But it'd be cool to have the firemen that
Yeah.
races pro, be part of it. Excuse me. I get some good interviews. I get good podcasts with fine people like you. Hannah Ricard from NHRA has been really great to interview me on the NHRA stage and
Mhm.
get our story out there. And she's really, really good to let me tell my story. Um, I think the announcers like Loans and all those guys do a great job talking about us on
Yeah.
TV when we're up on the line. They're phenomenal.
Yeah, Loans is awesome. He's a true student of the sport. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, he's good. And I don't think people really get it like we do, Bill, as far as like the first responder thing and like how big of a deal that is to some people.
Yeah.
By telling our story like we're doing tonight, I think it gets the message out, but there is so much we could be doing and should be doing if I had the right partners and the right support. And Elon does a great, great job getting our stories out there with our press releases and
Yeah.
setting up appearances. We just got to get some more people on board, and we're working with some stuff with Mission Foods. We've done a firefighter cook kind of thing where we supplied tortillas, salsas, and chips.
Yeah.
And I bought the steak and all the fixins, and we went to the Joliet Fire Department prior to the race in Joliet, and we had a big meal with their entire command staff and firefighters at their station. So
Nice.
the mission reps were there, we were there, and it was a great time, and everybody had a blast cooking at the firehouse, and of course sitting at the firehouse table having a meal and talking. So
Yeah.
it was really cool, and we'd like to do that a lot more because the firemen loved it. The
It's
mission,
like made for it. It's perfect, right? I mean,
it
there's
is.
fire departments all over at every NHRA tour, right? You go in there and it's great PR. It's great for the public. It's great for the first responders.
Well, the
And it's good,
marketing.
good, good PR for like Mission and other folks like that who just want to get the good vibes surrounding with their product, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The marketing to firemen and first responders is such a huge window because firemen are into beer, lots of beer. Firemen drink a lot of coffee.
Yeah,
Firemen eat a lot of food. They
right.
love tacos. They love chips. Firemen are into outdoor sports, motorsports,
Right.
fishing, motorcycles, camping, all these things. There's so many different ways we can market any type of product to first responders. And the biggest thing, and you probably know this firsthand, Bill, firemen are loyal.
Absolutely.
If you're doing something, they are going to support you 100%, not because they have to, because they want to.
Right.
It's the
Right.
brotherhood. I could
Yeah.
be selling pink socks with a firefighter Maltese on there, but because I'm a fireman selling them, somebody would buy them.
I'll buy, I'm sure. I mean, and you even, there's the professionals, right? But I live in a small town. We have a VFW here. I mean, I'm sorry, volunteer fire department,
Yeah.
VFD. And I mean that, of course, I'm supporting them. And so it's that brotherhood and sisterhood, right? And to be honest, in a lot of cases, um, you can't touch it, and it's man, someone's missing the mark if they're not, exploiting that. I
Yeah,
should not exploiting in a bad way, but taking
taking
advantage of it.
advantage.
Yeah,
Yes. So,
even
but
that sounds sucky, but
yeah,
we know
here's a
we
fun
know what
fact
you mean.
for you. Over 75% of our nation's firefighters are volunteer.
I mean, and it
Hats
goes,
off. Yeah,
back to the early
volunteer.
days of the country, man. It's
Yep. And what's really cool about it is no matter where I go, people come up to my pit and want to meet me and shake my hand and say, thank you. Hey, I'm a fireman in this town. I'm a volunteer fireman. Hey, I work here. Oh, my uncle, my dad, my brother, my son. So we get a lot of fan interaction because of the first responders, because they can relate to it because their family or loved ones are first responders themselves, which
right.
is really cool. I got a lot of challenge coins. I've gotten a lot of patches, a lot of t-shirts. I
Yeah,
send out a lot of patches. I send out a lot of t-shirts and challenge coins. It's great. And everybody that comes to my pit, I try to give time to and talk to.
yeah.
And what's really cool about it is even as far as Germany, I have firefighter people there that are fans and watch the race and cheer me on,
That's
just
awesome.
the fire department.
We'll get you a ride out at Hockenheim one of these days, man. The
Yeah, I
big
would love to go there.
Olympics. That would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you were talking about the challenge coins and the patches, my wife and I were at the 9/11 memorial last year, about a year ago now, and that was like there's a cool bar right there. It's like the firefighters bar,
Yep.
and I
Right
mean the
around the
walls. I
corner.
don't know if you've ever been in the walls are literally covered. A little Irish bar,
Yep. Our
and
patch is on the wall from my
yeah,
company,
yeah,
Squad 1 in Chicago.
yeah.
Yeah, it's that memorial is very moving. Even as a fireman, I've been there several times. We've done events for 9/11 memorials, and we're in full uniform and walking through there. And it just every time you go there, it's sombering, and it hits you because of the scale of what happened.
Right.
And every one of those guys had a family, and it's been 24 years now, but it seems like just yesterday.
Yeah, it has. It's the reason I went on the Homeland went right after with the old INS, and then
Yeah. I can remember exactly what I was doing that day. I was on the fire department by then, and we were side jobbing making cabinets for a carpentry company that
wow,
another firefighter was running. We were at his shop making cabinets, and he stopped for a minute and he's listening to the radio and he's like, "Hey, come here." And we start watching the TV as the first plane, it hit, and people are talking about it like, "Holy crap!" And then we watched the second plane hit. And at that moment, our phone started blowing up. We were ordered to come back into work.
right.
So everybody went back to the firehouses and we're on standby waiting to see what was happening and what we needed to do in our own communities. And it was crazy. Eventually we set up teams that were on standby to go to New York. They didn't they
Right.
didn't call us, but we did send a bunch of people from the Chicago Fire Department out to 9/11 to help, with recovery efforts. But
Yeah.
it was something I'll never forget. And like I said, if people don't know my race car number and on my helmet, my competition number is 343. And the reason being because 343 firemen perished that day. So it's a tribute to those guys that gave all.
That's an awesome tribute. Um, Thank you for that, Chris. Yeah, we can go on and on about that. That's a couple beers in a later conversation.
Oh,
But
yeah. We could talk for days.
we chatted about your. I know you gave some shout outs to the guys helping you out, but take us one more time through the sponsors or other folks who kind of help you do this thing.
So I have to thank a lot of people, and most of the people that are helping me are people who have been with me since the alcohol funny car days. Competition Products and Howard's Cams out of Oshkosh, Wisconsin. They're huge. They help us out with parts and support, and they've been with me since day one. Um, I can't thank them enough because they stick by us, and they're just ecstatic about what we can do for them. And their car is beautiful. That Howard's Cams wraps, turns heads,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
looks great on TV. Another big help. Obviously, we talked about NGK. Jackie and Leela from NGK have been phenomenal. They help us with spark plugs, and we go through a lot of spark plugs on that fuel car. 16 plugs per run
wow,
over the course of a weekend. That's a lot of spark plugs. And what's nice about it is Those NGK plugs run so well in our car. We rarely have holes out, and it just makes a tremendous amount of power, and a lot of that is because the quality of spark plug that NGK supplies to us. Reed rocker arms, Daryl Reed, he's a California boy. He makes a phenomenal rocker stand assembly, and we were the first big show fuel funny car to run Reed rocker arms. And if you listen to our car, the way it idles and how snappy it is, you can hear a difference. And it's all because of how good those rocker arms are. The geometry is dead nuts perfect. And Daryl works really hard to make sure they're perfect. And he's even refining them and working on a new set for me right now. So
Nice.
Daryl Reed and Reed Rockers have been phenomenal with our valve train. We get a lot of help from Impact with my safety gear. They've been great since day one, keeping me safe, and that's a huge priority. Goodson Tools and Equipment, they're very good about getting us the cutting stones and things we need to prep the clutches,
Mhm.
some of the machines for grinding rings and things like that. And then we also get a lot of support from Gates belts, our blower belts. So back in the day, I would beg, borrow, and steal to get blower belts. And then I met Ben Morgan out in Denver, and he was a fireman also. And Ben and I became friends, and Ben knows Dwayne from Gates Belts, and we introduced each other and talked. And the next thing you know, Dwayne's offering me some support with blower belts. So now instead of beg, borrowing, and stealing used belts and whatever I could find in the pits from people, we have fresh belts all the time, and we have the ability to switch them out whenever we want without any question.
Nice.
So it's been really great. And the final person I want to thank, and this is a local guy that I met at the U.S. Nationals last year. He's right outside the suburbs of Chicago. His name's Robert Rohde, and he has a company called Heat Hydraulic Energy Applications Technology, and he's a huge drag racing fan. And
Mm.
we instantly hit it off when we met, and he wanted to be involved so bad, and he got involved. And he helps us out with some of the small costs, like helps us with fuel costs and things like that. Supplies some food, and he's been awesome and very supportive, and just wants to be part of this team because he sees the potential in us and sees that we're hard workers and that we're going in the right direction, and he's along
Right.
for the ride. So um, those people have been awesome, and I can't thank them enough.
That's fantastic. Thanks so much to those guys for helping you out on your behalf because you're helping us, get the thrills from seeing you run. Let's check in with John one final time. John, any final thoughts from anybody or from you before we have to say farewell to Mr. King?
Yeah, so we have really enjoyed this interview, Chris. You've been great, man. And Randy Johnston posted that Chris has a bright future, and
We're
we all
trying.
agree on that. And Rich Panicaro said, "Racers helping racers is what it's all about."
100%. Couldn't do it without the help from all the guys out there.
That's right, man. And Nitro Alley made a couple of posts. She asked, "Where can we expect to see you race this year?"
So we're prepping for Norwalk right now, and you'll see us definitely there. And we have some really cool things happening with Norwalk. We're bringing in a lumberjack professional race series highlight at Norwalk, and Bill Bader is awesome. He's a hell of a showman. So
Yes,
we're gonna have hot saw events, chopping events, and all these things happening in the Nitro pits.
Wow,
And on race day, they're gonna have their semifinal and final round racing right there in front of the stands on the return road.
cool.
So Mike Sullivan, he's a world-renowned lumberjack. If you guys never heard of him, look him up. He's spearheading this series, and it's going to be competitive lumberjacking. And it's just going to be another twist of cool things that we're bringing in to the fans. Whatever we can do for the fans to bring on a show and spark interest and maybe draw some sponsors to the series, we're going to do it. And this is just another cool way. Firemen use chainsaws at fires. So Mike and I, when we met, we hit it off. And I don't know who's more excited, me or him, but it's going to be really cool.
That's awesome. So
Oh,
So Norwalk for start. Where else you
yeah.
head?
So to finish Allie's question, and she's cool. She's a first responder out in California. She works for the sheriff's department, and she's a drag race badass. So, Allie, if you're listening, hey. But we're going to Indy. We're going to run the U.S. Nationals, and I'm going to win it.
course.
Bet Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. If you guys are into that, bet on Chris
Yeah.
King to break those brackets. So we're also going to try to hit St. Louis and maybe Dallas.
Okay.
Now, of course, everything is up in the air because if I have an incident or a motor issue, that's going to set us back. So we may have to shuffle things around until we recoup costs and parts. But if things go well, those are the races we're going to do. And fingers crossed and praying, if I'm fortunate enough to find any marketing partners or some support, we would like to add additional races and take this to the next level and eventually start running, for championship points.
Sounds
Right,
good.
man.
All right, guys, pull out the wallets. Let's make it happen. Corporate.
I should start a GoFundMe page. If we get a bunch of guys that give me $1, it could add up. You never know.
Well, Nitro Alley cracked me up. She made a cool post. She says, "It'd be fun to see the firemen do the cooking for the team at the track. Talk about an eye candy show for the ladies. Just
Yeah.
saying."
So ironically enough, I do cook at the track amongst the 1,000 other things that I'm doing. But we're trying to actually cater food to free me up. The problem is it costs a lot of money to do that.
Yeah.
So we do what we can. We'll do burgers. I cook food, slow cookers, Nescos, things like that. Easy meals, pulled pork, tacos, something that we can just set and forget and get work done. Because
Right.
I can't always just spend hours and hours
Right.
at the stove or the grill.
Can't be
But
grilling.
yeah, firemen are phenomenal cooks. We throw down. I did my fair share of cooking at the firehouse, and my firehouse has 24 guys. So feeding 12 at the racetrack's not a problem for me, and I enjoy it. It's just sometimes I don't have time.
Yeah,
So
you gotta delegate when you can,
yeah, I mean, somebody
Delegate
told me
takes
there's
money.
a thing called sleep. I don't believe them. I've never heard of it or I'm aware of it. I function on maybe 2 to 4 hours of sleep a day.
Wow.
But I can't help it. Even when I'm at home trying to sleep, I'm so used to getting up in the middle of the night or at 4 in the morning to go to work. My
Right.
clock is just all messed up.
Yeah.
So I run on adrenaline and dreams.
You need to put that on your back spoiler, man.
That would be pretty cool.
Well, Chris, where can they find you on the internet or elsewhere? Where if folks want to follow along?
So we have a very active social media life, and you can find us on Facebook at Chris King Racing. You can find us on Instagram at Funny Car Fireman CK, and you can also see us on Twitter at Squad One Firefighter CK. So we're pretty easy to find. And I just found out, I don't remember if it was my daughter or somebody in the younger generation said I'm Googleable, which I did.
That's
I was
right.
like, I guess that's kind of cool, but apparently that's a big deal that you're Googleable and it
You don't
pops.
really exist until you can find yourself on Google, I guess.
Yeah, so I guess that means I'm a big deal, but I don't really feel like it, but it's cool.
That's pretty bitchin'. If you're a first page Google with the name Chris King, of which there must be thousands and thousands, if not, I don't think million, but who knows?
There's actually a couple of famous Chris Kings. One of them owns a company for mountain bikes and like suspension, which is really cool. I wish I knew him, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of things. And ironically enough, I have a couple of friends that are real badasses named Chris King. One's a former military guy, and he is pretty connected with some like black ops and
Yeah.
uh, military stuff, and really cool dude. And then the other Chris King is a New York fireman,
Wow.
FDNY.
Amazing.
It's pretty cool.
What a world. What a world. Well,
Who'd have thunk
Chris,
it?
thank you so much for visiting with us tonight. Thank you for everything you do from the bottom of my heart. And man, go get those dreams, adrenaline and dreams. That's what we,
Adrenaline and dreams. It's a new sticker or a shirt for sure. Thanks for having me,
John,
Bill.
you make it happen. We
Yeah.
got I know an artist, man. Let's go.
Yeah, let's work on that. We'll have to debut it soon.
All right. Chris King, ladies and gentlemen, Nitro Funny Car Racer, and of course, first responder taking care of all of us. Have an awesome, awesome week, sir. Good luck at Norwalk. Good luck at
Thank you.
Indy, and we'll see you down the road.
All right, take care. Thanks for having me, guys.
You bet. Chris King, folks. Bye. All right. Let's say farewell to Chris, and let's go over to John for this week's JB's Take and the Racer of the Week. John, take it away, sir. Whoops. We'll need to unmute you, and then we'll rock and roll.
I'm sorry, I was muted and I didn't realize it. My pick for races of the week are Scott and Lisa Campbell from Abbott. I'm sorry, I mistyped that. Scott and Lisa Abbott from Maryville, Tennessee. Scott's two-timer 55 Chevy Gasser is a classic American hot rod, and I'm proud to feature it tonight. A two-timer is an old hot rod that Scott built in 2015 with the help of a few friends and family to be a street car that looked like an old drag car from the early to mid 70s. It has cut quarter panels, big back tires, with a big hood scoop covering a high winding dual 660 center squirter carved small block. It's backed up by a 4-speed Jericho transmission, then to a 538 gear in a Dana 60 rear end. After the first outing in the car, Scott was hit head on, bringing the car home, and had to do another complete build of the car, hence the name two-timer. After the second build, it just escalated to a full race car. Scott's history all began because of his dad's love of hot rods, including being with him at the age of around 4 and him showing off and getting pulled over by the police. The officer asked Scott if his dad did that often, and he said, "Yep, because I like it." And the photo Scott sent to me before was of him at the age of 6 with his first hot rod that he later drove during his high school years. Scott's dad has many cars, but he had a 68 Nova drag car that he raced during Scott's childhood years. He will never forget getting to drive that car as his first drag car. Scott grew up there at the local track, and that started his love for drag racing. He began working at the track later, doing anything that was needed, whether it was helping keep the place in proper order, or setting up timing equipment, or being the starting line official. Scott did it all. He has built himself several cars, and for some reason they all appear as the golden era of hot rodding, from the 60s to the 80s. His wife Lisa is also a huge part of his lifestyle, as she supports it and loves being involved as well. She even has her own very nice 1960 C10 big block powered pickup truck that they enjoy driving around to show and race events. Their kids and grandkids are also into the hot rod scene as well. Scott has been asked to race the old 55 with several groups, and he always enjoys the racing family that they have grown into. The two-timer has been through a lot on the street and the track. It has driven the tail of the dragon in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee and North Carolina, and also took Scott to the winner's circle as runner-up at the NDRL Fall Nostalgia Nationals, with many greats of the modified production racers in 2021. He also heads up the Gasser racing at the huge event, the Tri-5 Nationals, held each year in Bowling Green, Kentucky in August. He is also planning to drive and compete with the two-timer later this year in their first drag and drive event called Six Smokies. Well, Scott, your story is a classic drag racing life, and your hot rod is a true American classic. I'm looking forward to seeing you succeed with it, and we wish you the good luck, safe racing, and the best of times in the future. Brian Wilson, you were great. Your music was beautiful. It is timeless, and it inspired me as a songwriter for years. I will never forget you. May you rest in peace. Everybody stay safe and well. You are the most important part of this show, and we love you all. It's a great way to spend an hour together on a Monday night. And we'll see you all next time. God bless America. Back to you, Bill.
Hey, thank you, John. Appreciate it, sir. And yeah, man. Oh my gosh, Brian Wilson. What a legendary talent. We are proud. I was proud to have lived during his time on Earth, and it was amazing.
Yeah,
From being a little kid on till today, listening to his stuff.
that's right.
Quite
It was
amazing.
great that he made it to 82, and so did Sly Stone.
Yeah, sliced. Yeah, I tell you what, day one, I'm a little projects kid from Cleveland. Heard me a lot of Sly Stone over the years. So
Yeah.
love that one too. And if you want me to stay, I'll be around the day to be available to you see and dot dot dot. The whole thing is very cool. So
Well, they left us a lot of beautiful music, and I'll always be grateful to them for that.
we are very fortunate indeed to have known them and enjoyed their music. Thanks, John. Um, so let's talk about some upcoming guests. We're very excited. Thanks to Miss K. Next Monday night, we have Alexis DeJoria, the NHRA Funny Car driver, who's doing a great job out there and really did fantastic. Hit her last national event, and they seem to be sneaking up on a combo to actually get into the late rounds or maybe even a win one of these days. So looking forward to talking to Alexis. Followed her for many years now, and really excited about this. Also, coming up on June 30th, Gage Herrera, the NHRA World Champion motorcycle rider, the current reigning champion. So looking forward to talking to Gage. That'll be cool. And then keeping it going with the Pro Stock Motorcycles on July 7th, Chris Bostick will be joining us. That's going to be cool talking to him. On the 14th, Ida Zetterstrom is going to join us, the European Top Fuel champ, and doing a great job out there for NHRA. She's media darling. She absolutely knows how to work the media, and it's just pretty amazing. And and she's very competitive too. One of these days, so she's in the 370s, moving towards the 360s, and hopefully into the later rounds and a win one of these days on U.S. soil, having already won the European Championship. So pretty amazing. And then coming up on the 21st of July, the Quadra Boys, the NHRA Pro Stock team from Mexico. All three brothers are going to be joining us. Plus, maybe we can get Pop Fernando Sr. to join us. But really looking forward to talking to the Quadras. And announcing this now, we're starting to fill slots for August. On the 18th of August, I'm so excited. Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Brewer, the legendary Peacemaker wheel stander. Mr. Brewer has been driving wheel standers since Moby Dick was a guppy, and I just can't wait to get him on. Just one of the great characters in this sport. Jim Brewer coming on August 18th, and so we'll be announcing that obviously as that's a little bit out towards the end of the summer. We're just now getting into summer, so let's not rush summer, right? We all want to enjoy it. But and then Kay will get some other great guests for the rest of August, and as always, doing an amazing job. Going on to those we lost, I am proud to report and happy to report that we don't have anybody to announce tonight. So, a great week for us, and of course we lost some great musical talents, but no racers that came up in my radar. So I'm glad to hear about that. Uh, as far as the old Facebook shows that we did, the Facebook videos, I think we got about 3 weeks now to move those off. So I've got to get my stuff together. And so keep your eye right here on YouTube because I'll be taking all of those Facebook live videos and we'll be moving them over here to YouTube. And so getting my step by step in place, we'll be doing a big data dump of all those YouTubes. And I'll stop, number one, I got to get them off of Facebook so we don't lose them. And then we'll get them all saved. We'll get all John's amazing artwork saved. And then we'll put them up here on YouTube. And of course, now, that's just step one. Step two to 10 is we have to go back and get all the shows that we can possibly gather from way back in the day when we did it only on video. Do you remember, or audio? Remember that when we did the great Racers reunion shows? They were just on audio. So lots and lots and lots of stuff to move, but it's all going to be here eventually, one place, and that's going to be on YouTube. So with that, I think I'm ready to say farewell for the evening. John, any final thoughts from you, sir, as we wrap?
It was a wonderful visit with Chris King, and everybody just loves the guy, man. He's the real deal. Rich Pinacaro said he's a very down to earth person, and he's got a great attitude. And for as young as he is, he's fantastic. He's living the dream, man, and that's I'm glad that he brought that to us tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Had a great time with him. Looking forward to having Alexis with us next week, and I'm still in Facebook jail, y'all. So once I
Yeah,
find out
that's
if they let me out, I'll be back on when I'm on Instagram. So I'm going to look Chris up on Instagram.
That's crazy. Yeah, maybe we'll have to we'll slide it to Instagram and see how things. I mean, who knows? We've sent letters, we've sent, call your congressman, folks. We'll get this going. We'll get John back on.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, we're making it happen. John's getting us the art, and I'm getting it up, and I'm doing a poor facsimile of writing his stories. To which, John, by the way, every story that you see on Draglist that promotes the following week, he does all of that. The stories, the art, and I just kind of publish it when it comes in. So we're pitching in. We're gonna get it done. We're gonna be like a good team, like Chris King's team, but we'll get it done. Anyway, thank you, Johnny. Yeah, Chris King, sort of hard not to like. What a down to earth guy, making a huge impact on the world in two different areas.
Hmm.
So let's do our final wrap. We do want to thank Chris King for coming on. He was amazing. Really enjoyed talking to him. John Bachman, my brother, of course. Kay Turkelson making us look good out there. And she's out there putting up live reports every weekend. It seems like Kay is out somewhere doing live reports on the internet. So thank you, my dear. Rob McCabe, amazing work. Rob was at Lebanon Valley Dragway this last weekend, literally getting the stats, taking the photos, putting them up on Draglist. So he's been getting super busy and staying super busy. Thanks to Mel Bashir, of course, for the 50s stuff, Ron Toombs for a little bit of editing on everything, and John Mernon, too, who just joined us on the admin side. And that means you're going to see a radically increased number of good old drag racing photos aligned with older drag racing list entries. So I'm seeing some of that stuff from John this week, and looks really cool. Of course, thanks in heaven to Danny White, the man who did this for so long, and we love you, buddy. We want to thank Jeff Gilder of Zeus Digital Marketing, Racers Reunion, and Wingding Media for getting us our start and supporting us to this day. Remember, click the like button, the little thumbs up down below, click the share button. Also, click that little box right there, which is going to let you subscribe. If you click the Draglist logo, which you're looking at down there, it's going to let you subscribe to our channel. So please do that and tell your friends. Check in on draglist.com every day to see what's new. Looking forward to seeing cool stuff from Norwalk. Ohio Dave always goes out there. So we always get some great photo review stuff from Norwalk, and maybe we can get Dave to check in on Chris and get a couple selfies when they show up. Until that time, we want to say have a fabulous week. If you're going down to Virginia Motorsports Park this weekend, have fun on the NHRA tour or wherever else the drag racing world finds you. And then finally, I'll see you on June 23rd for the great funny car racer, Alexis DeJoria. Until then, folks, I'm Bill Pratt on behalf of John. We will see you next time. Bye bye.